Do you want to do Miami-Dade County? You want to do this MSA? What do you want to do?
Let's do Miami-Dade. Yeah, let's do it a little bit more specific than the
Cool.
Tri-County.
All right, cool. So do Miami-Dade County, okay? And your asset class of choice is
Preferably multifamily. I think everything else.
okay, cool. So let's talk about multifamily. Now, obviously, when you're diving into multifamily, you can click on any one of these. They kind of sort everything the same. I would probably just click on general. A lot of people would just be like, oh, okay, great. And I have 11,700 properties, and that's it. But we can get a lot deeper, right? So if we go to includes a phone number, now we're down to 10,168. But it's like, okay, well, that's not enough because I want to make sure that I'm calling the most motivated list. And if I'm calling everybody, this one just sold in 2024, it would be kind of stupid for me to call them, right? It's also owned by Miami-Dade County. I probably shouldn't call them because it doesn't make any sense, right? So you can make some sorts of like a person who owns less than, let's say, two properties in their total portfolio. You could do something like hasn't sold within at least the last 20 years. Now you're down to 965 just in Miami-Dade County. Let's take a look real quick. It's like, okay, well, now through this, I probably don't want to call something that was built in 2022. That makes no sense. Built in 2024 because they may have owned it for a long time and then they knocked it down and they built brand new, right? So we're going to go through sort, and I don't want to call anything that's built after the year 2000. Now it's like, okay, let's continue to go through this. Well, it's like I have a 4 unit, a 6 unit, a 3 unit. Maybe I don't want to call 3 units. Maybe I want to call maybe a little bit bigger. So maybe we'll call from like 6 units to 40 units, right? Just to try to stay underneath the all the big boys. So you have 40 units. It's like, okay, well now we're narrowing down this search as much as we possibly can to get something as motivated as possible so that when you call this person, the odds of them looking to sell are higher than if you called just some random list. But here's the important thing to pay attention to. There's only 246 properties on this list. And not 100% of these properties are going to be correct addresses. Correct phone numbers. 100% of these will not be correct phone numbers. You might have spent more money and skip trace these, but at least the property record might be accurate. And keep in mind that like when you call this 246, like you could dial 246 numbers in a day on a Mojo dialer. So the trick is like saying, okay, well, I can call these 246 in a minute. Well, what can I do to like kind of back it up? Because you have 1,000 exports a month, or if you use, we have a system where we can provide endless amounts of data. But it's like, okay, well, how much data do you even need, right? Like, because if you go out, like you get rid of the 6 to the 40 units, you're up to 1,000 records. You can call 1,000 records in a couple days. Now, this is all sizes of multifamily, which isn't exactly a horrible thing because this will take you a week or 2 weeks. Now, obviously, look, again, let's just say that you took 2 weeks, right, to call 1,000 properties. Okay, that's 10 days, 100 roughly dials a day, right? Which is nothing, right? Like, especially if you use an auto dialer, you could do that easily. Okay, you're maybe talking about an hour to 3 hours at most. I mean, that's if you got a great pickup rate. Okay, but here's the thing. You're only going to speak to maybe 10 or 15% of them on the first go around. And you're probably going to have at least 20 to 40% of correct numbers here. You'll at least be able to speak to, let's just say conservatively, 95 to 200 people in this list. Right. And then let's just say of the people you speak to, maybe 10 to 30% of those are even open to the idea of selling. I'm not saying at a wonderful price, but just open to the idea. So it's like, let's just say we have 20% of that number. So you have 200 people you speak to, and then of the 200, 20% are actually interested in or open to the idea of selling. This list should get you something like 40 leads
Got it.
if you called it repeatedly and like actually squeeze the juice out of these lists.
Got it.
Right.
So you run this into you said your skip trace. So you just drop all this, you export it, you throw it into the skip trace, then you skip trace all the numbers, then you throw it into the Mojo dialer.
And
Then
most of the times, like just the beginning of your career, you don't even need to skip trace this. Throw it into your dialer. And then
okay.
what'll happen is that you whittle down your dialing list because every single time someone answers the phone, you delete it, right? So it's like if you call somebody, they answer the phone, regardless if it's correct or incorrect, you delete the number because you're going to either put it in your CRM because it's the correct number or delete it because it's a bad number. So you're cleaning the list as you go through the list. So now it's like, okay, well, this is now what'll happen is you have 947, but you can start edging up in the list because like instead of doing two, you can go to like, okay, I'll call up to 3 properties in a portfolio. Instead of 20 years, I'll do the last 10 years, right? And now it's like, okay, well, now I have 1,750 properties to go through. So now like this, in my opinion, maybe go to 5 here. Right. This might be a good place to start. Right. So you have 2,100 properties. Right. This should be able to spit out 50 to 100 leads. Now, again, maybe 10% of those are going to be at a price you can actually sell it. Right. So let's say 100 leads, 10 good ones, 10 like transactions are in this list easily. right? Because you know what you could do? Watch how crazy this is. If I just go to sold within the last 12 months to actually see what's actually selling in this list here, if we just look at multifamily in general, what is sold within the last 12 months, there's 324 properties. So it's like every year you have 300, and this is just Miami-Dade County. Now, if I get rid of this, I might just get rid of the phone number because it doesn't really matter. But 406 in the last 12 months, multifamily is traded. So it's like, okay, well, if you go to just total, how many properties are in this list? There's 7,100 and 7,117. So that means every single year, 6% of that is trading. 5 to 6% of that is trading, right? So that means 5 to 6% of almost any list you're calling is trading, right? So, okay, great. I want to find the most motivated list. We do exactly what we just did. Now, within the last 10 years, the property owner, five properties at most, and just start whittling down this list.
So Reonomy seems like a must.
I would recommend Reonomy for sure. Now, if you just want property records, because obviously this is a little bit more than just property records, right? Like, you can look up properties, you can look at different things, right? I can look at different things. I mean, I don't know if I'll care about those. Whatever. I can click on this property. I was going to say I don't want to see these new brand new construction things, but so it's like I can look at it. I can get any type of view. I can understand all the property records of it. I can look at the owner. This might be a great, let's see when they last bought something actually. Last acquisitions date.
I think I saw January 2024.
Or yeah, January or June or something like that. Yeah. I mean, they just have a ton of products. I mean, this is June of 2024 last acquisition. So they just bought last year, right? They have 3,000 units, some in Miami, mostly actually a lot in Florida, but Texas, Houston, right? Like, point is like, okay, great. Like, this is why I like Reonomy too, because it's like not just even about the sellers, but it's like, okay, well, now I have a multifamily deal I need to sell. I can reverse prospect, right? I can go back to the list, which is here. I can go to my property list and then I can flip it. I can go to properties, watch this, properties that you just reverse it, right? You include a phone number, you get rid of person, and then you do within the last 12 months, or you do last 2 years. The last 2 years have been the same, basically. And then what you'll do, you can get rid of how many properties are in their record, because then now you don't want that much in the criteria. Because if you hit apply and you go to owners, I can see all the property owners in this metric, right? Like I can see okay, well clearly I should get to know these people, because it's like, okay, well they own 10 properties in this record, they own $300 million worth of real estate. And the last thing they bought was last January. I mean, this guy, I would love to know Ramon, because this guy, just bought something in March of this year. Like, these guys are players in this market. It's like, don't make it complicated. Like, we can sell any deal you want, right? But it's like, okay, great. First thing we're going to do is well, if you want to know multifamily, I would do 2 things at the same exact time. Spend the mornings prospecting for deals, afternoon hunting these lists. Because the top 50 people on this list, every single person should be your best friend. You should call all these guys, go meet them for coffee. Like, these are the guys you want to play tennis with. These are the guys you want to play golf with. These are the guys you want to hang out with. These are the guys you smoke a cigar with. Because dude, imagine if every single one of these guys was in your Rolodex. Cell phone, you could text them anytime, 24/7, 365. Because now it's like, okay, no matter what you find multifamily wise, boom, I got it.
I like that.
And that's it. That's the simplicity of this game. Now it's obviously knowing when the opportunities are good enough and everything else, but it's like this is how we simply find it. Now it works for every asset class. It works for every type of asset class or location around the country.